All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome, 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 and thank you for joining us tonight. Tonight is Thursday, or the Malays will call it Malam Jumat, and we're gonna have our crypto night tonight. All right. Now we probably don't hear a lot about cryptocurrencies or the cryptocurrency market, since the in the past 1 month because everybody is looking at the markets at the old financial markets, which is the equity markets, commodities, and so on, right? We also want to know what's happening in the crypto market. And today we have Andrew with us, our crypto futurist. Maybe Andrew will want to explain what is a crypto futurist all about in a short while, because it's quite a chunky title. Um, yeah, so we're gonna basically also share with you because in the last crypto Thursday last week we had a lot of questions coming on the fundamentals of what's happening on the crypto market. So Andrew is gonna share with us, and to address most of the questions earlier lah. All right. So today, our title is crypto or Bitcoin dead, right? Well, it's not dead. The market is still as active as ever. Let me just show you a little bit. If Faiz, you can uh, share my screen right now. I'll show you the prices of the three major cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and also Litecoin. All right, to give you an idea how is it performing against the equity market. All right, so let's take a look at Bitcoin. All right, this is Bitcoin since July last year. Now, if you look at the prices since the beginning of this year, we actually had a rally, right, in the beginning of this year. It follows the equity markets as well. We have a very strong rally upwards, in the first month. But come February, the prices start to fall. Okay, and of course with the COVID-19 lockdown in most countries, including Malaysia, the price actually fell steeply. Okay, this is actually a Bitcoin against the US dollar chart. And what you see on the blue line here, this is actually a downtrend line. This downtrend line is actually drawn from July last year until February when the price peaked in the short term over here, right? And then we put another parallel line down here to show where is the next support level. So we can see actually the price came down to this level over here, and in the past 2 weeks, it follows the equity markets as well because equity markets has also been rebounding in the past 2 weeks. So crypto prices, or this is Bitcoin, Bitcoin has also gone up. All right, I'll give you my analysis later, lah. After Andrew does his shares with us on the crypto market. Okay, so that's Bitcoin. But of course, Bitcoin is like the father of all cryptocurrencies. Most of the other currencies or cryptocurrencies are actually following the direction of Bitcoin as well. All right, I'll show you later. You can actually see the difference, right? Which is actually more volatile and which is not. Okay, so I'm gonna take a look at we're gonna take a look at Ethereum. So you can see here, Ethereum is the same thing, right? All the cryptocurrency, all the prices are moving in the. This is actually a downtrend that we are looking at. But of course, in any trend, there's always this upward and downward movement. So same thing. Early this year, it went up, and then because of this crisis, because of this health crisis that we're facing, the price of Ethereum came down back again, right? Same like Bitcoin, and you can see there's also a rebound here in the past 2 weeks. But there is subtle difference. Like if you look at Bitcoin has actually gone up. In terms of its value, it has gone up more than Ethereum prices. But in terms of percentage, because Ethereum prices are quite low, the percentage can be quite almost equal, lah, right? Against the Bitcoin prices. So there are similarities on the prices of Ethereum and Bitcoin. And we look at Litecoin, same thing. Litecoin has also come down. It's also starting to rebound in the past 2 weeks. So that's what's happening in the crypto market. If you look at the performance of the crypto prices, right, it's almost similar to the equity markets, right? Many were thinking, during this kind of crisis, Bitcoin will probably move like the US dollar of currencies, right? Where US dollar is still strong, and but what it does is actually it follows more the crypto market rather than the currency market. But we'll get back to this chart in a short while. So this is just to give an idea what's happening in the crypto prices, right? And these are the three main crypto prices. Okay. Now just a little bit of update on our equity markets. today actually is quite surprising, right? Although US market actually fell yesterday, but most of the Asian markets actually went up, including Malaysia, lah, right? So we are seeing a rebound in most of the markets in the region itself, right? Whether this is sustained or not, again, we have did this. We have talked about this in our previous investor KopiTime last Sunday. You can look at the video, the recorded the live recording, right? You can just browse our Facebook, go to the previous Sunday. You should be able to see our views on the market, right? But I think the next few weeks the market is just going to go sideways. It's going to be volatile depending on the news that we are seeing. I mean, WHO actually this evening it just come out and said that Malaysia is doing quite a good job in containing the coronavirus or COVID-19. Right, we have actually flattened the curve a little bit, and that's quite a good news, lah. Although the number is today actually gone up like 200, slightly above 200 infections, but the number of people being discharged also quite a lot. So that's a good sign, lah. So keep it up, Malaysians. Stay at home and continue to be with us in Investors Kopitiam every night at 8 p.m. All right. Um, Andrew, maybe you want to share with us right now?
Yeah, sure. All right, evening everyone. Thanks for joining us again for Crypto Night. Faiz, if you can help us switch over to my screen share. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. So, is Bitcoin dead? With the price of Bitcoin dropping from almost 50% from where it was, many would consider it dead, gone, right? But I'd like to sort of give a bit of context because I think judging from some of the questions last week, we saw a lot of questions revolved around what are the fundamentals? How do you actually evaluate whether or not Bitcoin is a good investment or not? Now, let me just say that this is not financial advice. This is for educational purposes only. So we are just here to share some knowledge so that you are armed with enough information for you to make any informed investment decisions, right? And that's pretty much our mission here at Equities Tracker. So, okay, to start off with, the title says Bitcoin obituaries. That's because there's actually a website out there. I will probably share my slides at the end of this. You just have to WhatsApp us on our WhatsApp number, and then you can pick and choose to download and get the slides. Or these slides. So basically, there's a website out there, and in the slides, there's actually a reference to where it is. That it's called the Bitcoin obituaries. It actually states, it actually captures it has all the links of all the publications that have said that Bitcoin is dead since 2009, 2010 till now, 10, 11 years later. It's been declared dead so many times. Yet here we are, right? We still are going strong, right? The Bitcoin network is still around. We're still using it. And in fact, Bitcoin is probably talked a lot more about today than it was, 10 years ago. I also, if you look next to it, there's look, our flavor or our approach to investments is very much value investing, which means we always look for with great choice, right? We shop, we try to purchase things that are cheaper than its value, right? So we differentiate between price and value. So so being value investors, obviously our Sifu, the big Sifu is Warren Buffett, right, whom we all look up to. Now he says that Bitcoin is probably a rat poison squared. Now that him and his partner Charlie also believes the same. Obviously, you've got the other tech billionaire Mark Cuban on Shark Tank. If you've seen him, he also says that he doesn't believe in Bitcoin, right? And he's openly declared it. He said he picked bananas over Bitcoin. Now, if we look then, who are the proponents of Bitcoin? I just want to give a bit of context, right? So if you look out there, so if you don't know who Peter Thiel is, he's one of the co-founders of PayPal, right? Him and Elon Musk. So He's a big proponent of of Bitcoin. Now, if you notice, most of these guys who are big proponents of Bitcoin are actually very much in the tech space, because they understand the tech, they understand the implications of the tech, and what is the changes that it's about to bring to the world. Silicon Valley, Tim Draper. For those of you who don't know who Tim Draper is, he's a VC. He actually bought 19 his first purchase of Bitcoin. He spent 19 million dollars to buy 30,000 Bitcoins. This was actually seized by the U.S. government when they closed down the darknet website. What was that called again?
I think, the drug one, right? Andrew, you're talking about
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
Silk
That
Road.
that
Silk Road.
Silk Road, the Silk Road. That's right. When
Yeah.
they yeah, that's right. So then what happened is they auctioned it off, right? They auctioned off, and he bought it for a song. So he paid nineteen million dollars for his 30,000 Bitcoin, and for those of you who don't know who Tim Draper is, he was also one of the earlier investors in Facebook. He actually went in 8 years before they IPO'd, right? So he went in way before Lee Ka-shing did. Now the other, the two guys up here, these guys are the Winklevoss brothers. If you've actually watched that Facebook movie, they actually came up with the idea of Facebook, and they financed it and all that. So if you think that they actually got a bad deal from it, but then they after they got their settlement, they actually bought a bunch of Bitcoin, and that investment decision has actually made them billionaires today. And they even wrote there's a book out about them called The Bitcoin Billionaires. Obviously, the other guy is Jack Dorsey down here. He is the CEO of Twitter and Square. Obviously, everyone knows what Twitter is, and Square is actually a payment platform, right? That is that's rolled out in America. So all these guys here, the one commonality that I can find amongst them is they're all from Silicon Valley, right? They're all tech driven people, whereas someone like Warren Buffett is like less tech driven, although he is or Berkshire Hathaway is probably the largest holding of shareholder of Apple, but that he didn't come in as early. So I guess so these guys here, they understand the tech, they see the implications, and they've all taken a position, taken a bet on it, I suppose, right? So now, then the next question would be, okay, if I want to trade Bitcoin, but is it even tradable? How do I trade it? If you look at this next slide here, right? On We have two Bitcoin futures exchanges, right? One of them is the CME Group. That's actually the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. They have been around since 1848, so they're 172 years old, right? They are actually the largest derivatives market out there, right? So their average trade per day is about 515 million. So you can actually trade Bitcoin futures on the CME. Now, if any one of you are in stocks, you would know of the New York Stock Exchange. Now, ICE, right, the Intercontinental Exchange Group, they are the owners of the New York Stock Exchange and 12 other exchanges, regulated exchanges around the world. And they too have also opened a Bitcoin futures exchange. So if you want to talk about, is Bitcoin real? Is it legit? Is it legit? Does uh, should I even get into it? I'm telling you, these guys would have done their due diligence. They would have thought they would have done their sums and their numbers, and they've taken a punt at it, right? And as small as it looks today, this is probably a question mark, right? So they've taken a punt at it. They've jumped through the hoops, and so their average a day is about 3,300 Bitcoin a day, right? Which doesn't seem a lot based on today's price, which is around, I think it's gone up to 6,007 now. So That's them, right? So that's the exchanges. Obviously, there are other exchanges. So every jurisdiction around the world, the governments are all trying to figure out how do we regulate this new asset class. So in Malaysia, the Securities Commission (SC) as of today have approved three digital asset exchanges (DEXs) in order for Malaysians to legitimately purchase and trade in crypto, right? Uh, Actually, just put in the comments below if you would like for us to maybe bring on one of the exchanges as a guest, maybe for one of the crypto nights. Do let us know in the comments below. Okay,
Okay,
so
what do you want them to type, Andrew?
oh, Malaysian crypto.
Yeah, okay, cool. So
Yeah.
we'll see if anyone types Malaysian crypto.
Yeah. So if you're interested, and also we along the journey we've actually gone and met a lot of a lot of people in the industry, not just in Malaysia but around the world. So if you're interested to find out what crypto is like from the perspective of people from other countries halfway around the world, whether they're in Europe, in Switzerland, within the region in Korea, we are happy to also invite them on as guests to give you a perspective of what it's like over there. So do let us know as well in the comments, right? What should they type? Type in overseas crypto, right? Okay, so next, let's look at okay. So I'm gonna dive a little bit deeper, and it's gonna get a little bit technical, but I'll try to explain it as best I can. So this is actually the hash rate. So what is the hash rate? Just think of the hash rate as the the security of the Bitcoin network, of the Bitcoin system. Now, when the market tanked, you can see, which is from here to about here, the market had actually dropped. The hash rate had dropped about 50%. So if you think of that in context, that is huge, right? If it dropped 50%, the hash rate. So hash rate is how secure the system is. But then I'm just going to zoom out a little bit so that you can see how, just to give you perspective, right? So even though it's dropped 50%, from where it came from when the Bitcoin network started, it is still way up there. So it's still a very, very extremely secure network. And in fact, you know, during 2018, it fell to even lower, right? And it came right back up.
And Andrew,
So
you want to give us a reason why you think it fell so low?
yeah, okay, sure.
Maybe
So
why would it rise as well? So maybe they give them some perspective.
yeah, just to give you some perspective then. So basically, in order to secure the network, this is where if a lot of you have heard about Bitcoin mining, so this is where the miners would secure the network. What it is they actually purchase these mining rigs. They are, think of them as really powerful computers, right? Which only do one thing, and they do one thing really well, really fast. So there is capital expenditure, right? So you actually spend money and you invest in equipment. You put it up, and to run one of these rigs, it's probably the cost of running a 1.5 horse to 2 horsepower AC aircon, and you'd be running that all day, 24/7. And imagine if some of these miners actually have rows, 50 in a row, and they run, hundreds, some run thousands of them. In fact, there are a few publicly listed companies around the world that actually do Bitcoin mining as their operations, right? So it's interesting because that's their main operations. They run Bitcoin mining. They will sell a percentage of the Bitcoin that they've mined for cash to pay for expenses, and they will keep the rest. So obviously, I think their treasury will make that decision, and they will determine how much, what percentage to sell, what percentage to keep. So for mining, so because the price dropped from around 10K to I think as low as 4,006 or 4,008 USD. A lot of miners at this point, decided, you know what, it's just not worth doing it anymore, because a lot of the smaller miners actually do not have economies of scale, and therefore, are quite price sensitive. So when it drops, then they would have ended up just stopping operations, because I mean, imagine if you're a small miner and you're running 50 air cons 24/7, your electricity bill would be pretty high, right? So a lot of them had actually dropped off, but the larger miners with the economies of scale, they continue operations, because whether it's here or whether it's here, uh, they will continue to mint Bitcoin as payment, right? So that's what they do. So to give you perspective, even though it's dropped 50%, this is quite normal, right? Look from there to that drop there. That's definitely that's more than 50%, right? So now, this next graph is actually to show you the number of transactions on the Bitcoin network. So if you think of Bitcoin as an app, right? If you think of it like WhatsApp, and you were to send messages to each other, right? So think of it as the number of messages sent, right? So this is the number of Bitcoins that's actually sent over the network. So number of WhatsApp messages that I've sent to you, and you've sent to someone else, right? It is dropped a little bit, right? But it continues and it hasn't dropped that much, right? It hasn't gone all the way down, and this is for the last 3 years, right? It goes back to the beginning of 2017. So at the peak, you can see in the 2017, late 2017, 2018, this was when it was it was peaking in terms of number of transactions, but otherwise it doesn't look too bad. If anything, because it's dropped, maybe most people have actually purchased their Bitcoin, and they have kept it in their wallets for safekeeping, because for those of you who are in the crypto space, they're just hodling, right? Hodling is just a term used to mean that you're a long-term holder of Bitcoin. Now, I'd just like to maybe share some stats with you, right? Now, there are 7.8 billion people on Earth, right? Of which 4.5 billion of them are on the internet. They're internet users. So that's about 60% of the total world population. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoins. So 21 million Bitcoin is the limit, and that's it, no more, right? Right now, in circulation, there is 18.3 million Bitcoins. Okay, there's 18.3 million Bitcoins that are in circulation, of which 4 million, estimated 4 million of the Bitcoin have been lost forever. So that leaves around 14 million Bitcoin that's in circulation. The remaining 2.7 million Bitcoin will take 120 years, right, to be released into the system. Okay, so I just want to share some stats, give some perspective in terms of the number of people on Earth, the number of internet users, how much supply there actually is. Now, this is a hard cap, this is a hard limit. You cannot make more Bitcoin, right? Obviously, I think I've seen some comments that says, oh yeah, but you can just fork the code, which means you just copy and paste and make another Bitcoin. You can, but whether or not people will accept it is a different story. And in fact, they've done it. They've done it with Bitcoin Cash. They've done it with Bitcoin Gold. They've done it with Bitcoin Super and Bitcoin Diamond. Right? They've all tried to copy and paste the code and just make another Bitcoin. Obviously, Bitcoin is still the king, right? Because they're the grandfather of all cryptos. Now, it is estimated there's approximately 100 million BTC owners out there, right? Which means, right, there's roughly 2% of internet users that own Bitcoin. So this could go two ways, right? The internet could continue Internet users can continue to adopt Bitcoin. So right now, it are extremely early days. I mean, even for the internet to be where it is today, it took us at least 25 years. And really, the activities only truly ramped up when 4G was rolled out and when smartphones became a norm to everyone. So that only really happened in the last 5 to 6 years. So if this was a graph of internet adoption, you would actually see a J curve, right? You would see an exponential curve where the 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 massive adoption came in the last 5 to 6 years when the phones on the processors on the phones were fast enough to 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 process that much information and data, and when the mobile lines were actually fast enough to actually stream music and stream video, right? High definition video. Now, if you think about it, I mean, I used to copy and transfer videos onto my my devices and transfer songs into my devices so that I can listen to them. Podcasts back in the day, you literally have to sync your device with a PC or a laptop to get the podcast copied onto your phone, your device, so that you can listen to it on the go. But now, no one does that anymore. Everyone just streams because the internet is fast enough to do that. So I think for it to happen, look, we're only 10 years in, right, for Bitcoin. So I guess the question for everyone then is, will the internet users adopt Bitcoin for payment on the internet, right? Will they adopt it over the next 10 to 15 years, right? And also, what will the price of Bitcoin be if, say, for example, 10 to 15% of the internet population adopts Bitcoin? Now, taking into account the hard cap that there is, the lost Bitcoin, and actually the circulating amount of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin today, as it stands, is at 6,700 ish USD, right? Now, if okay, I think this is my last slide, right? If you had purchased $100 of Bitcoin, right, in 2010, now remember the price of Bitcoin has yo-yoed like crazy, right? If you had bought, I don't know, even in 2013 or 2015, right, whatever it was. But if you had bought it at 2010 $100, right, in 2020 you would your returns would be 9.2 mil. You'd end up with your $100 grows into 9.2 million, and you get a return of 9.2 million percent. Now this chart here just shows you if you had put $100 in any of the Amazon or Apple or Visa, where you would be today, right? Now, again, this is not financial advice. I'm not telling you to buy Bitcoin. Do not go out and buy Bitcoin. I'm just sharing this information, and so that you have, a better understanding of the variables that are at play. Okay, back to you, Benny.
Your mic is off, Benny. Benny, your mic is off. No, you're off.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Andrew. So keep the questions coming if you have any questions you want to ask. And if you are owning Bitcoins, you probably want to also know where the direction is probably going to be like. So I'm just going to share with you based on a technical perspective. Like Andrew said, this is not an investment advice. This is just basically my opinion on the prices of Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Ethereum. I'll just take maybe about 5 minutes to explain to you. But before that, we're gonna come up with a poll in a short while. I just want to ask you whether any one of you holds any Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency. All right. The poll will be on your screen. You just say yes or no, and later we'll show you the results. Whether how many people actually own Bitcoins or cryptocurrency. Sorry. All right, any cryptocurrency. So you just click yes or no. All right. Now, can Faiz, can we go to my screen now? I'm just going to show the charts for Bitcoin first. All right. Of course, we all know that in the cryptocurrency market, it's volatile. But one thing that traders like most are basically volatility lah. All right. But of course, I'll show you later on Bitcoin chart in the long term how it looks like. But in the short term, this is from July last year till today. I already explained to you earlier. The price rebounded off the support level of a downtrend. I mean, if you look at the whole trend currently, it's actually still in a downtrend. But what we are seeing now is a rebound. Prices are normally over speculated, right? And they move in a range. So currently, the range is between these two lines over here that you see. All right. So looking at this price movement, we are seeing Bitcoin prices. This is Bitcoin is moving upwards. Now, in the short term, you can see that the highs are getting higher. The lows are also getting higher. So what we have here technically is called a triangle pattern. All right. Whether it's going to break upwards or downwards depends on which level it breaks. All right. In this case, of course, the buyers will be on the upside because it is now near the support level, moving towards the resistance level around 8,000 to 9,002, right? Bitcoin against the US dollar. So if the price is able to stay above this immediate support level, which is at 5,009, okay, so take note here, 5,900 Bitcoin against the dollar, that's where the support level is. If it can stay above this level, then there's a high chance this price is going to go up to between 8,000 to 9,002. Okay, so that's for Bitcoin. Now moving to Ethereum. Ethereum is unlike Bitcoin because if you look at the Bitcoin prices, you can see the prices are going higher highs and higher lows in the short term. But what we are looking at, what we are seeing in Ethereum is actually finding quite a strong resistance here at about 142.50, right? 142.50, 142.50. Now, this again, if it follows, of course, Bitcoin, if it continues to go up, Ethereum can also go up. And if you look at if Bitcoin prices are able to go to about 8,008 to 9,002, Ethereum can go to around 2004 to 2006, which is the resistance level over here. Right, so that's almost like a double or 100% move lah. Right now, that provided if the price of Ethereum can stay above 123, that's where the support level is. Because you see, when the price is congesting over here, is congested, is consolidating over here, the support level right now is 123. So if you can stay above this level, then like Bitcoin prices, Ethereum can also go up. All right, so that's for Ethereum. Litecoin is almost similar to the pattern that we see on Ethereum, right? It's also consolidating sideways, but look at the price movement, is actually still going up. So support level for Ethereum in this sideways trend, in this consolidation, is about 36.50. Okay, if you can stay above this level, then it may go up to this resistance level over here around 62 to 64, Litecoin to a US dollar. Right, that's where the resistance level is. If Bitcoin is able to go to 8,008 to 9,002, then Litecoin probably can go to that level as well. So if you look at the volatility between these three, right, you'll find that this is actually a Bitcoin together with Litecoin and Ethereum. The black one here is Bitcoin. Sorry, let me see. The black one here is Bitcoin. Yeah, Bitcoin. The orange one is Ethereum. Okay, the blue one here is Litecoin. Now, if you look at the volatility, you see that actually Ethereum is a little bit more volatile than Bitcoin. There is no fixed percentage. Like for example, if Bitcoin goes up that 1%, how much does Ethereum go up? Because you don't really see a direct correlation. But generally, Ethereum is more volatile. So if Bitcoin goes up 1%, maybe Ethereum will go up 1.5 or 2%. There is a little bit of leverage share on Ethereum, maybe because the prices are lower than Bitcoin. So like I said, if our current Bitcoin prices is about 6,007, right? So you look at the upside on resistance is about 8,008. So there's the percentage move to 8,008 to 9,002 will not be as big as Ethereum, because if Ethereum move from current level to its resistance level, we are talking about 100% move, like I've mentioned earlier, right? So Bitcoin, Ethereum normally has more volatility than Bitcoin. All right, so that's my chart. Again, this is not an investment advice. This is just my analysis. But based on what I see here, we're probably going to see a rebound in probably most of the cryptocurrency, especially these three main cryptocurrencies. All right.
Okay. Can I just add something? Now, last week we were giving away satoshis. Now, if you're wondering why I'm calling it Bitcoin and Satoshi, because Satoshi is the smallest unit of a Bitcoin, right? Just like our cent and ringgit, Satoshi is the smallest unit, right? So we were giving satoshis to 50 people yesterday. Last week, who were the fastest to message into us. Now, if you were one of the 50, congratulations. I know we had a lot more that came in, but they didn't get any, and I apologize for that. But we have an opportunity for you again this week for the first 50. Just WhatsApp us on our number, which is 088408. Guys, help me out.
2070.
2070. Right. WhatsApp us, and from there you will be able, that's the number that Benny's putting up. WhatsApp us and you will be able to, if you're actually, sorry, you gotta WhatsApp us and type into the comment Bitcoin, right? And WhatsApp us, and if you're the first 50, you will get your Bitcoin or your Satoshis.
The first 50 only, right, Andrew?
Yes, only the first 50. And then we'll decide if we do it again next week, or and I saw an interesting comment here. Someone wanted to know if we sell equity tracker t-shirts. Maybe we give some out.
Yeah.
Maybe next week we give some equity tracker t-shirts out.
Yeah, tomorrow. We'll circle back tomorrow. Come back.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So there were some interesting questions. One of them from Peter Law. Why are the 4 million Bitcoins lost forever? Well, for starters, the founder of Bitcoin, under the name of Satoshi Nakamoto, whether that is one person or a group of people, he has 1 million Bitcoin that is stashed into a wallet. That hasn't moved since Satoshi disappeared off the face of the earth. So that's 1 million Bitcoin that's stuck there. Throughout the years, like in the early days, we were still on our PCs. In fact, laptops were not as common. We were still on our PCs, and a lot of the Bitcoin were stored on the PC, or the private keys, right? To spend your Bitcoin were actually on your PCs, and a lot of PCs. Sometimes people used to mine them, and you could just mine it with a very old machine back then because the hash rate wasn't as high. But today, there's no way you can mine it. A lot of them, they upgraded their PCs and they threw their hard drives away. So there's this joke that there are some people are still dumpster diving, right? They're trying to find their hard drives because there's a few $1 million in there. So a lot of people have actually lost their Bitcoins that way, as in they've lost their ability. That means it's like losing your ATM to your key card. And because Bitcoin is a decentralized network, there is no way that you can actually call up support and say, hey, I forgot my PIN. Can you please reset it? Once it's gone forever, because there's actually no support. Now let's see what other questions there were.
Okay, question here that I found, maybe Alvin or Andrew can answer this. Or what determines the price of Bitcoin?
Andrew, you want to go first?
I think you answered that, so I'll let you continue with that answer.
Look, I think we get asked this question quite a lot. We have to understand that crypto is new, even though it's 10 years old. You got to understand equities now is almost 450 years old, right? And there are a lot of mechanisms built around it, and this is fairly new. Really, as a Bitcoin advocate myself, or Bitcoin investor myself, I do see the benefits of Bitcoin. to me, ultimately, it's about adoption of Bitcoin, ultimately in the investment community, right? 3 years ago, when the Edge did an interview with me and they asked me what I thought about Bitcoin, I was actually quite bullish. I remember the price at that point was $1,000 per Bitcoin, and I was very late to it because actually Andrew told me about it 3 years earlier, right? But what we suddenly saw a huge ramp up. 2017 it went from 1,000 to 20,000 at the end of the year, and it just went berserk. Of course, it's come back down to a lot more sensible levels. A lot of people at that point was FOMOing, fear of missing out. You got to ask, want to buy Bitcoin, and everyone came out with, for lack of a better word, a lot of crappy coins that came out after that, and everyone kept saying that they were Bitcoin, right? I think that gave Bitcoin a lot of publicity, but now that levels have sort of fallen and people are a little bit more sane, I think ultimately the long view of Bitcoin is ultimately the adoption, acceptance, not just within the investment community, but by and large by everyone global, because this is a global, global, if I can put it in inverted commas, commodity, right? So really, in terms of pricing at this point, it's demand and supply. And my view is that pricing at this point may not even be 100% efficient, right? If you look at the very early days in the stock market, why we have so many rules today was because everyone 400 years ago or 300 years ago was making a lot of money rigging prices, right? And that's why a lot of rules had to come in place, and that's why you have the SEC or the SC equivalent and regulators to come in. I think that ecosystem is starting to come in. So until that comes in, we can't say for sure 100% that it is 100% demand and supply, right? We know supply is limited. So there's, the question here, if demand goes up, then logically your price has to also follow through as well.
Yeah, but I think unlike the stock market, because it takes really long time before we really get good, good pricing mechanism. But we are seeing a very very fast adoption on cryptocurrencies. I mean, you look at the trends today, although it's volatile, but it's actually not as it's not really as volatile. Like, the price just jump like 1,000% or 2,000% a day.
Yeah.
So it's actually quite fast, lah. But once it's really adopted in the market, then you probably can see much better pricing. But for now, definitely, I mean, for traders, it's a good market because there's a lot of volatility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, Andrew, go on.
Oh, look. Maybe just to share a bit. When I first got into Bitcoin, I mean, I got into it because I was curious, right? This was in 2014, and I think the price of Bitcoin back then was between 800 to $1,000, right? Unfortunately, whatever Bitcoin that I bought back then, as eager as I was to acquire it, I was as eager to spend it because this was this new, digital money that I could actually I could actually spend. As to the early question on what what was the value, or how do you value the was that the question? How do you value the price of Bitcoin, right?
Yeah, what makes
Yeah.
price?
What determines the price of Bitcoin?
What determines there are multiple factors out there, I think. But at the end of the day, I think it goes down to supply and demand, right? Feed and greed and fear. But also, do note that whatever I shared with you before, the other thing that I had mentioned last week, which I didn't mention this week, is that Bitcoin comes with a cost of production. So if you were a miner and you had invested in equipment and in a space to run it and all that, just like the publicly listed companies that I mentioned before, there is a cost of production. So that's one way to measure it, right? Measure how much it costs to produce a Bitcoin if you were a miner. That's one way. That's one way to look at it. Obviously, if you were in the you were on the exchanges and you were buying and selling Bitcoin, then it really is supply and demand, right? And that determines the price. Yeah. I've got a question here from Aswin. Says, what can you do with the 1,000 satoshis that you received last week? Well, probably not much based on today's price, but who knows, right? But there are places where you can actually spend your Bitcoin. You probably need more than 1,000 satoshis. Um, there's a website called bitrefill.com. So for all you gamers out there, you'll be happy to know that you can actually spend, you can pay for it. You can go to you can go to bitrefill.com and pay for Steam credits. Those of you who play Roblox, or maybe your children do, you can pay. You can use your satoshis to pay for that. You can your prepaid mobile phones, right? Your Maxis, your DG, your Cellcom. You can also use your satoshis to pay for that. Look, just head on to bitrefill.com and have a browse around. You can, there's so many hotels.com. There's so many things you can tune talk, mobile, right? Skype. You can actually just spend your satoshis to pay for that. And I don't know if on yeah, but the transfer, you notice that on the Bitcoin Lightning Network was actually quite fast. It's very fast when you do that transaction. So yeah, see what other questions there are.
Okay, Andrew or Melvin, there's a question here from YouTube, actually from Baba Shabir. Do you think Bitcoin will be used as a payment method going forward, or become the peg of all other digital currencies?
That's a good question. And hello, Baba. Shout out to you. So that's actually our friend from the UK who's actually tuning in right now. Hope you're staying well, staying healthy. Yes.
Hope you're also on lockdown, man.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah. So as we said, that crypto is a global thing now. So do we think that crypto will be used for payments? I think it already is, in pretty in a much smaller scale as compared to where everything else is, because it's already established. I think if you go traveling in certain countries, you'd be able to go to like Bitcoin ATMs, right? You can actually, if you didn't have the local currency, then you could send some Bitcoin into the ATM, and it will spit out some of the local currency, and then obviously you can spend that. But look, I think if anything, it's digital currencies are definitely part of our future. Will cash totally, like hard cold cash, totally be eliminated? Hard to say. I wouldn't like to see it eliminated. I think cash is still quite part of our DNA. But obviously the mode of payment, or how you pay, the vehicle has evolved over time. Obviously, we went from feathers to shells to gold, right, to precious metals, to paper, to plastic, and then now to an electronic form. I do see it happening, and I know, for those of you who don't know, the CEO, Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter and Square, had actually announced in September or November last year that he wanted to spend 3 to 6 months every year, from last year, or this year, or in Africa, because he felt that it would actually help he wanted to bring Bitcoin or crypto into Africa, right? Because whether it's a lack of a banking system, or the need for them to just totally skip that part and just go straight into crypto. And that was his ambition. Obviously, I think now, because of the coronavirus, he might stay put, and not move, and also the hostile takeover. But yeah, look, I think it could be. Obviously, there are many unknowns in future. So, and I don't think it would take over. If anything, it would be like when the internet came about. It didn't take over physical magazines or physical newspapers, right? They still go to print, maybe not as much, and it's almost symbiotic now. They quote each other, right? Um, and it's interdependent almost. So I probably see that more as a more likely scenario than it being taking over the existing system.
All right, this question I think from Malaysian, from one of the
Actually, Benny, just
admin.
I mean very quickly on the last question.
Mm.
I think to answer Baba, I think for Bitcoin to be widely accepted, unfortunately, to see it happen, I don't think any of us will be alive. I'm looking at it from a human perspective. Why? Legislators today were born in the 40s and 50s, or maybe early 60s, and they grew up, they were pre-internet generation, right? So if anything, for digital currencies to really be pushed forward, um, the legislators will have to come from the digital native era, where they truly can fast track or see the benefits in what digital currencies can do. Honestly, unfortunately, may not be in our lifetime. We might not be alive. So that's really just because it requires a whole change, quite a structural change to the whole system. But will it happen? Well, the digital is the future. I don't see it regressing. So
All right. Next question. This is from Karen on YouTube. How do we purchase cryptocurrency right here in Malaysia? And if there are many platforms, what's the easiest way?
Yep. So the SC, the Securities Commission, have now given licenses to 3 digital asset exchanges. That's what they're being termed. They're not crypto exchanges; they're digital asset exchanges. And all you would really have to do is just sign up on any of the 3. Obviously, you'll have to do the KYC, so you'll need to provide identification. And then what you do from there is you just send money into your account, and from there you trade, you buy and you sell. And if you want the money back into your own bank account, then you can just do a withdrawal back into your account. It's as simple as that.
All right. I'm just gonna share with you guys the results of the poll that we just had just now. I mean, we're actually asking how many of you actually hold any cryptocurrency. Well, out of the, let me see, 192 people. I'll show you the result. I'll type in the results in the comment in a short while. Out of 192 people, 137 people, or 71%, does not own cryptocurrency. 55 or 29% of the audience today own cryptocurrency. So we have like one third actually owning cryptocurrency.
the potential.
Yeah, I hope that those who don't have the cryptocurrency, you actually has WhatsApp us earlier, and you should be able to receive crypto. How many of you actually already received the Satoshis? Anyone? Just type yes, received. Okay. Now, one good question. So you can just type in if you already received. You can say yes, received, and you can share it to your friends how easy it is, right? How fast it is to actually transfer the coins, right? Now, okay, let me see. We have any other questions? One more question is related to stock market. So we are not in the stock market discussion today.
One here from Ryan Chong, and this is probably for Andrew.
Right.
How much do you predict this year, 2020, Bitcoin's price? What do you think Bitcoin's price will be at the end of 2020? And do you agree with John McAfee? For those of you who don't know John McAfee, you can Google him. That Bitcoin will go up to US $1 million per Bitcoin.
So for those of you who don't know who John McAfee is, he is go Google him. antivirus, McAfee antivirus. So he was he was the guy that created it, and then he sold it on, right? And obviously he's a millionaire. I actually met him. I met him last year. No, sorry, a year and a half ago, and in Malta at one of the conferences, and that was the question that I asked John. I said, John, is the is the bet still on? Because he made a bet with the world, right? So he made a bet with the world that if the Bitcoin price does not hit $1 million by the end of 2020, then he's gonna cut off a part of his body and eat it on live TV or eat it live. So that, funnily enough, that was the question that I asked him, and he says, "You absolutely, you bet it is, right? It is on." He says, but you have to wait till December, right? Like the end of December, that's when it's gonna hit $1 million. Look, that's not my recommend. I don't think I don't have a view. I don't know, but that was what he said. Initially, Tim Draper predicted Bitcoin was going to hit 250,000 by the end of December. Again, then he revised it and he says, "Oh, it'll hit 250,000 by the end of 2022." Right? Now, to be honest, I think right now there are quite a lot of unknowns. So you don't really know. My stance on Bitcoin is I take a longer view, a much longer view than most, because I think it is still early days, right? It is still early days. This is the pre 4G, pre smartphone days of the internet, right? Where you can only get on with a PC. So until those new innovations come in or the infrastructure is in place, then I think you will see it fly. So as I mentioned earlier, if you look at the adoption of the internet, I mean, right now it's so common. Like right now, we're doing a live streaming session, right? Prior to having faster infrastructure, this was not possible, right? And email was the killer app back then, right? Email was the killer app back then. It was the app of all apps. And today, the killer apps would be, I don't know, Facebook. You've got Insta. You've got all these social media platforms. These are the killer apps of today. What's going to be the killer apps of tomorrow? So I guess that's the big question. That's probably the big bets that Tim Draper, the Jack Dorseys, the Peter Thiels have or are betting on, right? That there is also another fund manager. His name is Mike Novogratz. He has also bet pretty big in this asset class or in this area as well. So look, I have no view. It is where the markets will take it, right? I'm in it for the long haul, but doesn't mean I don't trade it. We have a Sifu right here, Benny, who I will ask. Hey, so how is it? but but just to share a story with you, when I first started this journey, I mean, it started in 2014, but then in 2017. I was very curious because at Equities Tracker we teach investment, right? We teach you how to invest. So it's all about managing your risk. It's all about having that portfolio. So I was curious if we were able to use that portfolio methodology that we teach. Can I apply it into a different asset class like crypto, and whether it would help me defray or mitigate those risks? And so using that methodology that we teach, to me, it was an experiment, but it needed to be real enough. So I had to put my own money in. I had to put real money in order to have skin in the game, to try to prove whether or not that hypothesis, that this method, that our methodology, our portfolio methodology actually works. And so up till now, even though the market has crashed, I'm still in the black. So my KGA is around 48%, and so that's okay, I guess, right? So that was my personal journey. I wanted to prove that the methodology was asset class agnostic. You can apply it to stocks, and you can now apply it to crypto as well. But obviously, it comes with a lot of research as well, right? You have to get on top of things. You have to you don't just buy because your friend told you to buy. You have to make informed investment decisions. So that's my stance. Yep.
All right, guys. So it's already 9 p.m. Any other thing that Alvin, you have anything to add?
No. I'm good. I think there are a few questions. I think one of them were like, how do we keep our crypto? And I think just bounce. I mean, this is our last answer. I mean, last question. But like Andrew was saying, adoption is now increasing. Interestingly, I just got a new phone, and it's a Samsung S20. And actually it comes with a hardware wallet as well, built in. So for the long trades, I do keep it in a cold wallet. Cold wallet means it's not connected to the internet. Of course, if you like to trade them, then you would leave. Don't put all your life savings onto an exchange, because some of you mentioned, security is not something we should take granted for. So yeah. Over to you, Benny.
All right, maybe last one for Andrew. Peter is asking, you mentioned CAGR of 48%, and that's how long, Andrew?
From July of 2017 to now, so almost 3 years.
Almost 3 years, lah.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, awesome. Guys, thank you so much. We'll come back again next week for another Crypto Thursday, same time. But before we go, I just want to do an announcement for tomorrow. If Faiz, can you share the screen? Tomorrow we're gonna have our investors KopiTime with the title is Dividend King in Times of Crisis, because a lot of investors tend to look for good dividend yielding stocks right now. But of course, when we look at dividend yields currently, is based on their previous previous dividends, all right. But moving forward, will they still be able to pay dividends? So we actually have a way to find them. So make sure you join us tomorrow at 8 p.m. And Alvin is going to show you how we can actually use our equity tracker platform to look for these stocks. All right. So make sure you get that. If you already downloaded that, if you already got that access to equity tracker platform, make sure you get ready tomorrow at 8 p.m. Log in, and then he will show you how. And for those who do not have an access to equity tracker platform, we are giving a free access up to 30th of April this year. So the next 1 month, you're able to use it and look at financial data of public listed companies. And tomorrow, Alvin will show you how to look for companies that would probably pay and continue to pay dividends. And if these are companies that's able to continue paying dividends, you may have a very good yield currently, because a lot of prices have fallen quite a lot, right, in the past 1 month. So for those who don't have the access, again, WhatsApp us at this number, 603-8408-2070. All right. So that's all we have.
Did you have a screen to show them, right? You're saying there was a slide, right? Do we have one?
Yeah, Faiz, I'm not sure whether Faiz has prepared it.
Okay.
But you can go to our Facebook. You should see a post there. It's already up. So you can look at the details at our Facebook page. So don't go anywhere. Look at our Facebook page and look at the post, and you should be able to see the details. Okay, so the screen is already up. Yeah. So this is what we're going to discuss tomorrow. We're going to have Alvin and Peter and myself tomorrow with you. And again, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Hope to see you tomorrow, and have a good night.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
9:15 for Mandarin, right? That's starting in about 10 minutes.
Oh yeah, forgot to mention that. 9:15 Mandarin.
Oh, they also have a CEO on Friday for those who can speak Mandarin, right? They have a CEO that talks about it's from the plastic industry, so we're gonna be so they will be also discussing the oil price and what's happening with oil prices today. So that's on Friday night, which is tomorrow night. But that's Mandarin, and that only starts at 9:15. Okay.
Yeah. So join us for both tomorrow as well.